Welcome back to Wookies on X-Wing. I'm John, and today we have a special guest, Matt Henderson, also known as Mr. Director.
Hi.
And today we have two lists that have been working their way up the Swiss and finally going up against each other in the top cut. We have Cory with his Keyan Farlander fire control systems, Push the Limit, his B1E2 upgrade, and Lando Calrissian with
HLC.
And the heavy laser cannon, and Han Solo with the Millennium Falcon upgrade title, C-3PO, R2-D2, and Veteran Instincts.
And Ian is playing a list that's very common in our metagame, unfortunately. He's running Howlrunner with a Decoy. He's running Carnor Jax with a Royal Guard tie upgrade, Veteran Instincts, a hull upgrade, and a shield upgrade for the tankiest Jax. And he's running Whisper with Navigator, fire control system, advanced cloaking device, and Veteran Instincts.
That Whisper's a dick.
Oh, that Whisper. Like, trying to, block it or do anything against that Whisper is so difficult with the Navigator.
And for our viewers at home, to remember that this event took place before the recent change, allowing making Phantoms not as broken. So that Phantom is as brutal as ever. So quickly we're going to talk about the deployment. It looks like Ian is nice and cozy in one of his corners, while it looks like Cory is splitting his forces up. Each ship is his own threat. It's super tanky, very killy, and can survive on its own.
Now, in round 2, viewers who have been watching this series from the start, I actually played against Cory. I was the Decimator Phantom list that won in round 1 and got crushed in round 2. So I've seen this list play, and basically what he's doing is he's trying to divert the 3 small ships away from the Falcon for some turns, trying to pile on a few damage with the B-Wing before the Falcon gets into the fray, hoping to maybe force the ties to split their focus.
So what we're hoping for Ian then is for him to just burn through Keyan as quickly as possible, not take as much damage, so then he can go and focus on the Falcon.
Are we hoping for that?
I don't know if we're hoping for that.
I know
think
he's our friend, but he beat you in the finals of the first Store Championship.
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure who I'm rooting for, because I kind of want both of these lists to burn in the fiery place of Endor. You know, where we put, where we burn the Ewok corpses.
I've played against Ian's list a lot over the last probably 4 or 5 months since he really started focusing on this sort of list, the triple Phantom Elite list. And I've noticed that he is incredibly aggressive, most especially with that TIE Interceptor, that Carnor Jax. His dream is to just live in the range 1 band with Carnor Jax all game long.
It's very fun to see an Interceptor do something like that, especially since, most recent Interceptors, you'll see them at range 3. But Carnor Jax is built for that. He's super tanky. He has those 2 defensive upgrades. On top of that, he has that nice little negation ability that Jax is so known for.
Oh, man.
And so here we see the 2 ships flying up. It looks like you're right. Han is just moseying up along in the asteroids for not really seen that very often in this tournament. Mostly the Falcon likes to just zoom up and down lanes.
Ends, yeah.
So here we have, and the asteroid placement is fairly clustered. Very interesting. Ian doesn't necessarily like clustered asteroids because he likes to be able to maneuver with his Phantom. And big ships are kind of notorious for spacing those asteroids out. So it's very interesting to see those asteroid deployment like that. We have the first shots of the game, and it looks like Howlrunner took a nice little hit there.
And I wasn't totally paying attention, but I'm pretty sure the B-Wing escaped without taking a hit there from the 2 shots by Howlrunner. Which means, if Cory is able to focus fire down that Howlrunner, having played against Ian's list, Howlrunner and Jax are like the super friends.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where Ian wants to be, is always playing with Howlrunner Jax, and then the Phantom just kind of does its own thing throughout the game.
Well, it's one of those things that you either want to burn the Phantom down right away or focus on the engine that keeps everything going. And I think Cory has the right thought in mind by trying to take out Howlrunner. Fortunately, Howlrunner is a bit tricksy to bog down, and that's just the way that it is. Keyan is really defensible this round just because of the actions that he can pour on.
If you notice there, Ian actually placed his template for a barrel roll, then changed his mind and focused.
So that was a misplay there. Unless he would have gone off the table, which is true. If you would go off the table, then you can retract that, just like you would going onto an asteroid. But if that was not the case, then yeah, he misplayed there.
I mean, it's probably not going to make a huge difference in this case, unless, of course, the B-Wing has arc, which I don't think it actually does.
No, it doesn't look like he has arc.
So there was no, like, arc-dodging ninja nonsense going on here. It was just maybe a mistake. He rethought his position. It's possible, even, that I misinterpreted. He didn't place it all the way down, in which case, it was probably fine.
And for the most part, Cory didn't call him out on it.
That's right.
So, I mean, if Cory's all right with it, then so be it. But yes, for the most part, that it was a misplay.
Oh, man, that's a big bump, though.
No, he can fit in there. It's just the ships are touching each other. Oh, yeah, that was really tight.
Yeah, well, he pushed the B-Wing at first because of those prongs on the interceptor.
Yeah, that's fairly tight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like what Keyan has going for him. That ability to use Lando, and then on top of that, get actions from all of your other abilities. It's fairly solid. And the fact that he has 2 evade tokens on him, on a B-Wing, very defensible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I find it very interesting where Cory placed the B-Wing here. Knowing, maybe he didn't, but knowing how aggressive Ian tends to be, just how fast he jumps into the fray with that interceptor, putting himself sort of in position to not get shot at by the interceptor and the TIE fighter, I think that that's going to wind up helping Cory quite a bit. It's going to keep the B-Wing alive for at least an extra turn, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and those extra turns is exactly what Cory needs in order to eliminate Ian out of the top cut.
That's right, this is the top 8, so these are single elimination games at this point. Ian and Cory were 4 and 5 going into the cut.
So they were pretty evenly matched. And it goes to show they're neck and neck right from the get-go. It's fairly interesting. And that is an abysmal roll on the Phantom. Not something I'm used to seeing from Ian. He used to...
That's his one bad roll.
Yeah.
He gets 1 a game, right?
Yeah, just 1. So I hope it paid off there. It didn't quite kill him, but it did enough damage to sort it out for later turns.
It'll certainly... Well, it only did 2 shields. So, Ian, at the moment, yes, of course, he is sort of in trouble with that Whisper, but in a situation like this, he can easily just decloak forward and then disengage from the B-Wing. Or decloak forward and then re-engage.
Yeah. No, the interesting thing here is that he did a 1 hard maneuver with the B-Wing. I think that... I'm not exactly sure why he did that. I think it's just to get the stress. But at the same time, you're coming in with the Falcon. You're trying to figure out exactly where he's going to go with the Phantom. And he was not necessarily stuck into those maneuvers, especially with Navigator. So it's very interesting to see why that's the case. Also, from Ian's perspective, I would want to stay away from the Falcon as much as I can.
Yep, that's fair.
Just focus, divide and conquer. And as much as... Cory kind of has this really cool idea that both are really powerful threats, and the longer the Falcon is unscathed, the better it is for the Falcon. Divide and conquer is a thing.
Absolutely. I mean, in this instance, Cory's taking so long to get that Falcon in there, and unfortunately, he's only managed to do 3 damage over the first 2 rounds of firing with that B-Wing, and they've been spread out. He wasn't able to focus fire anything down. If maybe he hadn't been so evasive in that last turn with the B-Wing and had just focused fire down the Howlrunner, he would have been able to get a ship off the board.
Yeah. See, what I would do right here with Keyan is actually fire at Howlrunner. He has a line of sight. She's stressed out.
Yeah.
He can throw 3 attack dice.
Woo, look at that!
But he was able to take out the Phantom
with
the Falcon.
That was the Falcon firing at range 3 to an uncloaked, because it only fires at PS9, Whisper, which is, I mean, that's exactly why you take Veteran Instincts on Han Solo. In a metagame like this, where Whisper is everywhere, you have to just do what... Oh, and there. See, it wasn't going to last long. It was not long. Maybe, did he... maybe make a small mistake there by not firing with Howlrunner first. Because then Jax would have had a shot on the Falcon there.
It's really up to Ian on how he wants to use his decoy, but yeah, that was a bit of a tricky spot. Now, the interesting thing is that Falcon's fresh, so this is playing into Cory's hands. The Falcon's fresh. It has R2-D2, the Falcon title, C-3PO. It's super tanky, and Howlrunner already has some damage on it, so it's going to be very interesting the next couple of turns. Cory has to play very smart and pick his targets wisely.
Yes.
Because Ian plays very aggressively, and it's not that difficult to eliminate those actions. And while Han Solo has that ability to reroll dice, making it very strong, if he has no other actions, that's rough.
No, you're absolutely right. It's very interesting here. This looks like exactly the position Cory wants to be in.
Yeah.
Whisper's dead at the expense of his B-Wing, which is an excellent trade. And so he just has to do 2 damage to Howlrunner, and all he has to do is just slowly whittle away that Carnor Jax. If he can take out Howlrunner over here or the next couple turns, except he shot at Carnor Jax for some reason.
I think he was saying, "Oh, I can't get those tokens if Jax is too close. He's the big heavy hitter. I should focus him down." That's a trap.
Like being at range 1, that extra 1 die, that is really great. But Howlrunner only has 1 hit point, and it's 2 attack dice going at you, and it prevents you from being able to focus defense. You like turtle down. If he got rid of the Howlrunner right away, then he can turtle a bit easier. And
well, yeah, absolutely. The strength of C-3PO is the fact that if you only have 1 ship fighting against you, you're pretty much invincible.
It's very difficult to kill.
Yeah, combine that with R2-D2 and the Falcon title, you are pretty much... He has to do 4 damage to even do 1 damage to your Falcon.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you eliminate those ships, you focus fire, and we've said this in other videos before, if you focus fire, you're going to pave the way to victory.
I totally agree. Like, I've been watching the videos. Obviously, I'm the one that edits them. But it's interesting to see how the players that are doing the best are the best able to adapt to the situation, but also stick to their plan.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a certain amount of, I got this cool, badass plan. I'm going to go in with this plan, and hopefully I'll win the day. And also, there's this other element of, I need to change this plan, but you'll notice that the players that do the best, as you said, are the players that have the plan and tweak it during the game.
Yeah, like in a situation like this especially, it's most important to get Ian down to as few ships as possible, as early as possible. And it just feels like he forgot that part of his plan when Carnor Jax comes in and shakes his big ol' interceptor right in Han's face.
Well, it's easy to focus to Jax because he's shiny. He's shiny, he's scary, and he's also expensive. So, and most people think, 1 TIE fighter. What can 1 TIE fighter do to me after I take out the interceptor? But that TIE fighter is key to the plan. It's allowing Jax to get those rerolls off. So
it's true. Like, it represents essentially 2 attack dice plus also an extra elite talent on Carnor Jax. It gives him a pseudo predator.
Yeah.
While also being a blade of wounds that Ian is just, sitting there with right now 7 hit points. And the Han Solo just keeps firing down at the bigger chunk, the 5, rather than trying to focus down the 2. I think that ultimately this game is going to boil down to whether or not Han is able to use his evasive abilities, which who knows if that's going to ever be the case with Jax being as aggressive as he is. But also whether or not Ian is able to keep his ships aligned, keep his advantage going until this Falcon is finally able to do enough damage to take one of them down.
Well, knowing Ian, he likes playing super aggressively and by the seat of his pants for the most part. However, he does have a very good ability to get those micro measurements when it comes to placing those templates down for maneuverability. So I'm thinking that he's going to use what skills he has to his advantage, and what I was saying earlier, if you can box the Falcon in and force it to go in certain directions, you already are winning.
Okay, so if we look at the situation here, the Falcon did a point of damage to Carnor Jax, took off the shield. I feel as though the situation could be so much better if he's just not worrying about Jax right away.
Well, the thing is, Howlrunner doesn't have a token on her. She is naked in the wind, and she's a TIE fighter with 2 hull points. That
Easy to kill later.
screams ice cream. So just go for it. But you know what? That's when you're playing it. When you're playing these tournaments, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. When you're playing these tournaments, you've played like 4 or 5 games. This is 9 hours in. You're mentally exhausted, and sometimes you have those little mix-ups. So, well, let's see if Cory can salvage it. But for the most part, right now they're kind of evenly matched. Now, if Ian can push the advantage that he's already gotten and force Cory into, for a lack of a better word, the loser's den, then Cory's going to lose. But if Cory can salvage it, if he can, basically pull his pants up, then he might be able to win this.
But Cory's best move there was just a 1 straight ahead, right? Because a 1 straight ahead puts him parallel with Jax, puts him able to throw his 4 dice into Jax, because that's what he's wanting to do. If Cory wants to shoot at Jax, Cory should just put himself in the best position to shoot at Jax.
Yeah.
But he did the 2 bank, bumped into Jax, which means he can't shoot Jax. Maybe that's for the best, because now he's going to actually have no choice but to shoot at Howlrunner.
Yeah.
For the 1 damage that he manages to roll.
Yeah, well, it's really frustrating, but at the same time, he could have also, if he did the 1 forward, he would have been able to use a target lock, and this is an action that I have yet to see on Han this game, and it's an action that I think he should start using. With Jax there, you're not able to use focus, but are you allowed to reroll dice still?
You absolutely are. I think the key there is Cory is super invested in Han Solo's ability. The ability to reroll them all, but there's an opportunity cost there. If you roll 2 hits and a focus on your 4 dice, he's rerolled that twice now in this game. Both times he's come up with less than that.
Yeah.
But with a target lock, he can just throw those 2 dice that didn't hit, be assured of 2 hits, maybe get another one, and then this game looks a lot different.
Well, statistically, focus and a target lock are pretty much the same thing when you have one or the other.
When you can take one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. But the other thing is that, and I'm not exactly sure if you can do this with Han, just because I'm not exactly familiar with it. But can you use Han's reroll and then target?
You can't reroll a die that's been rerolled.
Okay, just want to make sure of that.
Just like you can't Predator and target lock the same die.
That's fair.
But honestly, I mean, in a situation like this, Cory's being forced to split his fire. Like, maybe in the first couple of turns, he could have focused down Howlrunner. But right now, you have to give Ian credit. He's doing a very good job of blocking Han Solo and forcing Cory to split his fire up. He's done 2 damage to the Interceptor now, 1 damage to the TIE Fighter, and it doesn't feel like things are getting easier for him as time goes on.
No, he's having to split his fire. He's not dividing. He's not conquering. And they're just taking turns. These fighters are taking turns getting in the way. The 5K turn, at first glance, when he did it,
it looked bad or
but
imperfect.
But now you give him the benefit of the doubt. He's not getting his proper maneuver. Oh, that was a little awkward there.
Yeah,
but
I would have much preferred him keep the template down and then move it back. But at the same time, I mean, a bump is a bump sometimes.
There's no real rush. I mean, these are fairly small battles. They're not like TIE Swarm on TIE Swarm.
That's right.
So they're
not in a hurry.
No. And there's a blinded pilot there. Not exactly the crit that Cory wanted. A nice direct hit would have solidified his position. But he's 1 hull point left.
1 hull point. So here the question is whether or not Ian is going to aggressively block. With this 1 turn, it looks like he is trying to do that. Try and keep Cory from repurposing the edge of the table. Maybe force Cory into the asteroids.
Yeah, well, the thing is that Howlrunner, the best way for Howlrunner not to get shot at is to not be able to get shot at.
To bump.
Yeah, exactly. So I can definitely see, the way that Ian plays, I can definitely see Howlrunner being that blocking element.
Having seen, however, where the ships were when this turn began, it is reasonable to think that Cory's better play here may have been to turn into the asteroids. Ian has been avoiding the asteroids all game.
Yeah,
because they're clumped up. He's been playing around the edges. He's gone down one end, turned around, and then he's gone down the other end, essentially.
Well, the asteroids don't benefit him at all. The asteroids benefit the Falcon for sure because it gives you an extra defense dice.
Yeah.
And while that might not seem good because of C-3PO and they have to sort of reassess exactly how many dice you're going to call out, it's an added defense.
Can I just say, he Han rerolled a hit and 2 focus into a hit and 3 focus.
Yeah.
He took an evade there.
Yeah, that was a misplay, for sure. When you only have one fighter being firing at you, and it's only throwing 3 attack dice, you have C-3PO, you have R2-D2, you don't need the evade token. You really don't.
You need to kill something.
You need to kill something. That's what happens. The funny thing is that a lot of people complain about, C-3PO, R2-D2, the Falcon title. This is exactly what it does. You get into a groove and you don't get out of it. You immediately muscle memory the evade token down, and you don't look at your tactical options.
Like, he's playing assuming that every hit is dangerous. But at this point in the game, he's still in a good enough position. I think he still has 5 hit points at this point, where he can play aggressively and try to win, rather than playing not to lose.
Yeah, and absolutely, and something that we've talked about many times here on Wookiees on X-Wing is a Falcon with a C-3PO title, C-3PO Millennium Falcon title, and R2-D2 on a one-on-one fight. It's almost impossible to do. You have a three attack dice ship like a Interceptor. You have to do 4 attack dice in order to even do 1 point of damage. That's not happening. So you have being able to just eliminate all of your other dogfighting ships and just have that one opponent means that you're going to win, pretty much.
Yeah, if Cory had taken the last turn, gotten rid of Howlrunner, at that point, he almost can't lose.
Yeah.
That said, in this situation now, he's being dog-tailed by a ship that's now firing 4 dice at him almost every turn. The Falcon is not maneuverable enough to avoid the arc of Carnor Jax for the rest of the game.
No.
At this point, it feels a lot like it's maybe just mechanical.
A little bit, for sure. And on top of that, I mean, Auto Thrusters isn't in the game yet, so, small blessings for that. But at the same time, Carnor Jax is now in that range 1 band. You can't use that focus.
That's
now.
right. He can't use his title. He can't use the focus. He can't, even if he wanted to, even if he does, say, a 3 hard here, it's going to be very difficult for him to escape Carnor Jax over the course of 2 turns.
Yeah.
So maybe for 1 turn, he'll be able to escape him. It's going to be very tough for 2 turns, because Jax can just do a 5 forward, and then no matter what maneuver Han does, and in this case, he does a 1 forward.
Yeah. Or, yeah, 1 bang.
1... Oh, does he... Is it a 1 turn? Oh, it's a 1 turn.
Yeah.
That's much better, actually. It's not perfect, because Carnor still has arc, and he's still in range 1.
Yeah.
But,
absolutely. Go ahead.
But the other option there would have been a 1 forward, intentionally bump Carnor, kill Howlrunner, and yet again, then you're in that same position you would have been in 2 turns prior.
Yeah, especially when you know that Ian plays as aggressively and they're trying to block. You can use that to your advantage. If you're not getting those actions in any way, you might as well bump. There's no disadvantage in it.
And he's so reliant on that Han reroll here. And Ian just rolls really well sometimes. I mean...
Sometimes.
Hey, I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. At least I'm not saying that he microwaves his dice. I say that every time we play.
Yeah.
But... And see, that's the benefit of having the focus token.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is sometimes you just roll 3 focuses and you get to do 4 damage.
Yeah, I have never seen the Falcon struggle so hard to do 1 point of damage to a TIE fighter.
A TIE fighter. At range 1 every turn.
Yeah.
Now, if he was taking... what action did he take that turn? Did he take a target lock?
No.
then did he do no action?
I'm not sure.
At the very least, he could have done a target lock on the Howlrunner.
Yeah.
And almost assure himself that 1 point of damage with his 4 dice.
Yeah, when you're throwing that many dice, I mean, you have the ability to pile it on, and not taking those actions is wasting actions. And as we know, actions is what wins this game.
Absolutely. Which is why things like Falcons and YT-2400s and Decimators are doing so well in regionals metagame that we're seeing, because they're able to abuse those actions so well because they have such a heavy frame, they get more actions over the course of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with the introduction of Fleet Officer, the shuttle is coming back, so there's that element of it too. So
okay, so here Cory does a 1 hard onto the asteroid. I find that a very interesting choice. I may have been tempted to go towards the outer edge again here, which is the thing he's been doing all game, pretty much. Because then he would have bumped, and you know you're going to bump at least the TIE Fighter in a situation like that. And then he gets his shots. At this point, he needs to maximize the number of shots he's going to get, because he's going to not get an action this turn either.
Yeah. Maybe Cory was thinking of going the other way, because zigzagging the other way might have been a really good idea. But because then Ian would be forced to have to K turn.
Yeah.
Eliminating those actions, and if just for 1 round he doesn't have actions, that's a round that you can focus those fighters down.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
But I guess right now he's just trying to get away as quickly as possible and then re-engage on his own terms. But the thing is, with the Falcon, and while I've said in the past, disengage, if you know you have to, disengage, the Falcon has a really hard... The Falcon has a really hard time doing that.
I think this Falcon now has 1 or 2 hit points left.
Jeez.
And Ian still has both of his ships. Like, Cory, unfortunately, has been very unproductive with his attacks.
Well, if he just... All he has to do is fry that TIE Fighter. If he does that, he's able...
Is it not too late now?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is. But the thing is that he can run to time. If he fires that one TIE Fighter, he can fly around in circles. And unless Ian gets a really amazing roll, he's not going to be able to take out that Falcon.
That was the 2 points of damage that he had left. He rolled blank on his evade, and that was it.
Well, that's game, everybody. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter at NorthGamingNet or Facebook at Northern Gaming Network.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, thanks for coming. Until next time, I'm John, and this has been Wookiees on X-Wing.